All right, Leo, I apologize for the delay. I've been really sick, but here I am, and thank you for your patience. I do feel, Leo, that you're going through a bittersweet transition, and that sometimes is kind of the nature of growing and evolving, right? Is we have to leave, situations that we kind of wish we could stay in, but they just don't really suit us anymore. We have the Three of Swords with the Queen of Cups underlined by the Chariot. So there is movement here that is requiring some sort of mourning and moving on from hurt. I do feel like it's ushering you into a much more expansive, lucrative, opportune space. I don't think that you're really telling many people that you're feeling as down about this shift as you are. I think you've been trying to put on a, quote, brave face. And not that you have to, tell everybody that you're kind of sad about this move that you're making, because I know that ultimately you are happy. We have the Ace of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. Ultimately, you're moving into a more supportive space, moving into a space that is more authentic to you. And when we're grounded in more authentic energy, we also attract opportunities that are going to be more conducive to us living our truth, right? But the Three of Swords and the Queen of Cups does resonate as keeping a lot of hurt feelings or disappointments to ourselves, especially around this transition. So if you're disappointed in the way that things are moving, or like, why did they have to be that way? Like, okay, I wanted to change this thing about my life or about my career or about my direction, but I didn't want it to be this way. I know you're really grasping for that silver lining. And it's fine to do that. It's fine to try to find the positive light in a situation that is kind of heavy or not so supportive or whatever. But also don't be afraid to mourn. It's okay to mourn whatever loss you're feeling. And I definitely think that if you share it with people that are close to you, like people that are your soul tribe, people that support you through thick and thin, they're going to be able to help you kind of unburden yourself from that as well. And then we have the Five of Wands, the Moon, and the Nine of Wands. So I feel like there is some type of attempt here to fight the unknown. And you may be struggling to have a plan right now. And I feel like Spirit is saying, don't worry about the plan. Don't worry about trying to compete or trying to be on top or preparing yourself to fight against, obstacles that have not even presented themselves yet. And also don't be afraid to let your intuition guide you and let your intuition lead the way. We are moving into Pisces season in the month of February, which is the Moon's card. So things might come into focus higher when we switch into Pisces season. But with the Nine of Wands here, I feel like it's important to remember that the past can only repeat itself if we ignore the signs that the past is coming. And I don't think that it is, but we do have the Judgment card here as well. And I feel like it's important to remember that you are, first and foremost, your own competition. No one else really can hold a candle to you unless you allow them to. So instead of trying to figure everything out so that you're ready for battle, all you have to do is learn how to be more at ease with yourself and where you're at, okay? All right, Leo, just a quick reminder. I am on hiatus from private readings right now, from one-on-one client readings. But I did publish a poetry book. And if you're interested in that, it's a instant download. And you can buy that on my website. And all that's in the description box below. Now, this oracle card that I'm using is from the Magdalene Oracle. And this deck is newer to me, but the energy of Mary Magdalene is very special to me in the most unchristian way possible. And I didn't even know this card was in the deck. I didn't even think about it. But way before I pulled it, when I was just starting to lay your cards, I did Virgo prior to you, and I just had this feeling that Leo, for whatever reason, you were like the divine complement to Virgo energy, meaning like Leo was Christ consciousness or you know, Jesus, and then Virgo was the Mary Magdalene fragment in the divine feminine, right? And I mean this in the most general sense, but I just got that feeling, and then you guys got universal Christ as your overall energy. So, and we do have 3 9s here. There's a lot of energy about completion, and we do have the Hierophant here with the King of Wands, which is your card, and I feel like this is about you being not necessarily a spiritual leader. You may in some way, and especially in a non-traditional way, because at the time, what Jesus did was unheard of, right? He was walking from town to town and spreading his teachings versus people coming to him, right? He went to the people. And I feel like that may be something that you need to do in order to like spread the word, especially if you're launching some type of new entrepreneurial venture, or if you're trying to offer a service, or if you're changing careers, or if you need to promote, if you've seen a lull in your business or a lull in clients that you've had or whatever. I feel like you need to advertise yourself and you need to go to the people. And that requires a certain type of confidence, a confidence that some people may regard as like arrogant or you know, invasive or something like that. But in reality, it comes from a very pure place, and knowing how valuable what you offer is, and knowing how much people need it. Okay. So I feel like it's important to, quote, promote yourself right now and be committed to being a trailblazer, being committed to being a dominant force in your own reality as well. Because on the bottom of the deck was the real you card. And I already said something about needing to be authentic. And I feel like you're going to be coming into your power in a much more authentic manner, where you don't feel like you're boasting and you don't feel like you're, you know, impressing your values or impressing your beliefs or your skills or whatever on anybody. It's just going to be like, this is who I am. Almost like, in some way, it's almost like you're turning yourself into a walking billboard, but not in like an obnoxious way. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like your whole existence is going to turn into almost like your brand. But again, in a very authentic way, not in a forced way. Like, you're not fishing for followers on Instagram or anything like that. Also, in this card, you see a strong illumination on his third eye. And I feel like this is about learning how to put intuition into action. Because to receive intuition on some level is very feminine, right? A feminine energy. But to act in an inspired manner is the divine feminine working in connection with the divine masculine. So it's important that you act on what you perceive, even if you are not sure where the inclination came from. Your overall energy is the 9 of Swords. So I just do feel that overall you're a little anxious because the approach that you're taking to your life is definitely different than what you're used to. And in general, I feel like February going into the equinox, we're in a very past life purging type of stage. This is Lemurian seed quartz. We're in a lot of past life purging. So when we're in a past life window and needing to kind of consolidate our energetic fragments that we leave behind in past lives and our wounds that we leave behind in past lives, there can be a lot of condensing and a lot of collapsing, and there can be a lot of awakening to our power all at once. Because if we have wounds in our past lives over stepping into our power and being a leader and being a visionary and being a voice, right? We have to go back either in dream state or in meditations or whatever and kind of reclaim those parts of ourselves and say like, okay, we just didn't know any better, or the time period didn't allow for this, or whatever the case may be. So don't be afraid to really tap into those parts of yourself that you feel uncomfortable expressing, okay? Because there's a reason. What you're needing, excuse me, what you're needing to leave behind is the 5 of Wands with the rune Healing. and the King of Pentacles. So this is definitely about stepping out of your comfort zone, especially in your financial sector. You may be having to take a risk in order to reap a higher reward. And I also feel like this is about not fighting healing. If you've been fighting a job transition or a life transition that requires you to also approach your finances different, right? Sometimes we want to quit our job, or we want to take a chance again on an entrepreneurial venture, or we want to, go back to school or get some training. Anything that requires finances, right? Sometimes we have to take a risk. And I feel like this has been pressing you for quite some time. If this resonates, and Spirit is saying again, like this idea that you have someone to compete against, or this idea that, you're not stable enough or something like that, is just your defense mechanism against actually healing. And I think that you're afraid to also look weak, or look like you're not all together, or look like you don't have it all figured out. And that's understandable. I don't know why Sade's Love is Stronger Than Pride just started to play in my head, but that's another thing. Like love, especially self-love, is stronger than pride. And it's important to be proud of what we do, but when we use pride as a mask to not be ourselves authentically 100% all the time, then that can be detrimental. Also, when I started to pull these cards earlier, I started to hear Man in the Mirror from Michael Jackson, which he's a Virgo. But right, he says, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. So there is no there is no competition. Everything starts with you, and once you kind of reconcile things with your own reflection, you can see yourself reflected in other people, and you get a different reflection back from those people. The door that's now open, that was once closed. We have Judgment with the rune Safety. And we have the Fool with the rune Love. So I feel like you're getting a second chance to start something that you love. That is going to require you to really abandon your comfort and abandon your any parts of you that are stubborn or not really wanting to run a risk, right? Be too risky. Because again, our overall energy is the Nine of Swords. There is the tendency for you to get anxious about the choices that you're making this month. But with the Fool and the Love rune, I really like this because I feel like, the Fool talks about having like no abandon. Like he's just willing to like risk it all and like throw it all to the wind to do something that resonates with his heart. And with the Judgment, we talk about, a chance, a rebirth, something coming back from the past, not a person or something like that, but I feel like it's an abandoned idea or an abandoned gift or an abandoned lifestyle choice that just didn't seem practical for a while. And you just felt like it was outside of your comfort zone or outside of your safety net, and it just was too risky. And Spirit is giving you a chance to jump again, right? And come at that impasse again. So if you find yourself in an impasse this month and you're having to decide between playing it safe or making a more authentic leap, I urge you to be more authentic. I urge you to take the road less traveled. I urge you to take the one that requires strength and requires faith and requires you to be sure of what you have to offer and who you are. Your current energy as it relates to all of this. In your head, we have the Nine of Pentacles. In your heart, the Nine of Cups. And in your foundation, the Hierophant with the King of Wands. And on these two cards in the bottom, we do have the rune Future. So I feel like it's important to remember that the future starts today in terms of building, in terms of execution. We can dream a future that we feel like is our truth or that resonates with our spirit, but if we're not willing to act on it today or take those steps today, we're never going to arrive at that future. With the Nine of Pentacles in your headspace, I feel like you already are mentally prepared to live in your truth as your own individual, right? The path that you're stepping onto regardless of who's able to co-sign you, regardless of who's able to say, oh, good job, Leo, or you got this, like, you needed to feel it in yourself first. You needed to feel confident and secure and independent in your own right first. The Nine of Pentacles also has a very wealthy mentality. Like, they're good. And I feel like you're going to have to ride this wave for as long as you can. And that's what's going to push off this anxiety energy. You have to know that you're Gucci. You have to know that even if your money look a little funny or, you know, whatever, the chance and the risk that you're taking right now is for your own fulfillment, because with the Nine of Cups in your heart space, what you're doing right now is 100% for you and to make your personal dreams come true. People may not understand it. People may not get why you did it. And that's okay. You're not here to explain that to them. And there's no swords cards here. So this is not a conversation. You know, granted, obviously, if you're in a 2-person household, you know, and you're about to make a change that's going to affect everyone's money, yes, you do have to have a conversation with your partner. But in general, I don't feel like this is that kind of thing. You know, and it's going to be important that, again, you continue to think of yourself as someone who is thriving and keeping that entrepreneurial, thriving, highly valuable, luxurious mind state is going to be imperative. The Nine of Cups in your heart space is also saying that on some level you're going to need to be selfish, meaning there are certain sacrifices you're going to need to make in order to execute what you want to execute. What you would have to sacrifice would not be ultimately essential to you, so it kind of doesn't matter on some level, but other people may not really understand this choice. With the Hierophant and the King of Wands in the ruined future, what you're committing to right now is to your future as someone, you know, taking the throne as the King of Wands. Someone who is steadfast, someone who is a visionary, someone who is confident and courageous and is willing to act on, I don't want to say impulse, it's not really impulse, but it's like being that the King of Wands is a visionary. When you're a visionary, not everyone is going to see that vision, no matter how profound it is or how thought out it is or how well backed it is by facts and skills and all this kind of stuff. And the Hierophant is saying that you're making a commitment that on some level may buck societal traditions, but on another level, I feel like there is also a, quote, market or a field or a group of people that have been waiting for this level of guidance. Also, the Hierophant can be a teacher. Not to be biblical, but I feel like you may also be taking on disciples or people that work under you, or students of some sort. And if you're trying to, you know, be a teacher of some kind, or if you're some type of authority on a subject, but you never really thought of yourself as that, or you didn't want to take on the responsibility that is required to be a teacher, because we can be geniuses in certain topics, but like to actually be a teacher is a different kind of responsibility, because people are going to be coming to you and using you as a source of knowledge and relying on you. And obviously we can't be caught slacking off or, you know, not on our game if people are looking up to us. So I feel like you're also taking a prominent role. I don't think necessarily in your community. It could be in your community, but I feel like it's in your field. Okay. Spirit's advice for you to get through this energy. We do have the Six of Cups in the Five of Pentacles. And on the Five of Pentacles, we have the rune Self. So I feel like this is also about coming home to yourself, Leo. Because the Five of Pentacles can talk about struggle, but it's more so about being separated. And because we have the Universal Christ card, and this is like the window that they're outside of in the Five of Pentacles, is very like Catholic, stained glassy. I feel like there's some type of part of yourself, especially spiritually, that you abandoned a long time ago because you didn't resonate truthfully or honestly with what was being taught in your upbringing. There was something that was off. Or you could have gone through a lot of hard times in your life, and you're like, if there was a God, they wouldn't put me through this, or if there was a higher power, they wouldn't put me through this. Like, other people get to succeed, other people get to live a good life, and I have to struggle. And I feel like this is also about repairing your relationship with struggle and repairing your relationship with strife, or having to go without, or having to be devout of money or additional funds that you need to finance your dreams. by coming home to yourself and coming home to your truth. Because a lot of times, too, if we're doing things for money that really, really, really buck against our authentic current, that can cause more dissonance within our own being. And I understand some people have bills to pay and whatever, but it's important to always take steps towards doing enjoyment, things that we enjoy for work. With the Six of Cups here, this is also about a return to innocence, because the energy of a child, children are willing to try anything once. They're not going to hold back on their authentic feelings. They're going to say how they feel and do what they want to do, and they're not going to feel bad about it. They have no guilt. So I feel like it's important to also take this risk for yourself without any guilt of what is going to transpire because of it or whatever, because you just know in your heart that it's true to you and it's time to do it. Going into March, we have the High Priestess. With the Four of Wands on the High Priestess, we have luck. So the High Priestess is also the feminine counterpoint to the Hierophant, right? Both two different types of occult knowledge being executed and absorbed and then given out in two different ways. So the Four of Wands is saying that the more you are true to yourself, the more you will be supported and surrounded by people that not only honor your truest self, but also are their truest selves. Okay, and the High Priestess is saying, with luck, is saying that, you know, you may not see your fortune or see your favor in a direct financial manner at first, or in a tangible, like you're not going to see the physical results right away. However, I feel like you're going to be getting an inclination that it's coming, and I also feel like the people that are close to you are going to be, quote, spreading the news for you as well, that you are a success and that you're like the go-to person for this type of support or this type of service or for this type of energy. So also, I feel like you may only keep your success close to your inner circle, because these cards add to 6. So this does speak to notoriety in some capacity, but I feel like it may be like localized at first. Like only your true few know like that you're really killing it, and it's like you're afraid to advertise it because you don't want to be like fake about it, Leo. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for your mid-month reading, which if you're interested in that, you can buy that in the description box below. I love you all. Thank you again for your patience. It's been real. Peace.